What is sociology? Norbert Elias's vision of a relational science. Welcome to this exploration of Norbert Elias's What is Sociology? A groundbreaking work that redefines the very essence of sociological inquiry. Published in 1970, Elias's text challenges static, dualistic frameworks and instead presents a dynamic, relational, and historical perspective. At the heart of his approach lies the concept of human figurations, interdependent networks that evolve over time, shaping and being shaped by the people within them. In this video, we'll unpack Elias's philosophical foundations, key concepts, relevance to everyday life, and major critiques of his work. Philosophical foundations of Elias's process sociology. Elias's vision of sociology is rooted in a processal understanding of human life. He draws from classical figures such as Emil Durkheim and Max Weber, yet he diverges from their tendency to analyze individuals and society as separate domains. For Elias, these are not opposing poles but intertwined elements within ongoing processes. His process sociology insists on a continuous interplay between individual action and societal development. Relational thinking, inspired by Georg Simmel, is central to Elias's framework. He critiques isolated models of analysis and instead foregrounds the significance of relationships and networks in shaping behavior. Individuals are never atomistic but always embedded in constellations of interdependence. Elias is also profoundly influenced by historical sociology. Echoing the materialist traditions of Marx and the long jury of Fanon Brodel, he stresses that societal structures and norms emerge and transform through extended historical trajectories, not isolated events. Interestingly, Elias integrates elements of Freudian psychoanalysis, recognizing the unconscious as a site where social norms become internalized. Emotional regulation, he argues, is socially conditioned and varies with the complexity of societal structures. In opposition to positivist approaches, Elias warns against reducing sociology to static laws or decontextualized quantitative methods. He argues for a historically sensitive sociology, one that is attentive to change, complexity, and context. 2. Core concepts of Elias's sociology. Figurations. At the core of Elias's thought is the concept of figurations, dynamic networks of interdependent individuals. Unlike traditional models that treat individuals or institutions as isolated units, figurations emphasize the relational web within which all human activity takes place. Elias writes, figurations are networks of interdependent human beings whose relationships change over time. These figurations exist at multiple scales, from intimate family dynamics to vast political structures. Crucially, power within these configurations is not fixed, it shifts with historical and social changes. For example, the employer-employer relationship is not merely a transactional bond but a figuration influenced by economic systems, labor laws, and cultural expectations. Interdependence? Interdependence is another cornerstone of Elias's sociology. He rejects the classical dichotomy between individual and structure, asserting instead that people and societies are mutually constitutive. As he puts it, individuals and society are not separate entities, they are two sides of the same coin. This principle reveals that norms and institutions emerge through interaction, and are sustained by mutual dependency. Consider the classroom. A student's behavior is not merely personal choice but a response to the expectations and constraints imposed by teachers, peers, and school policies. This lens reframes social analysis, emphasizing collaboration and connectivity over isolation and autonomy. Power dynamics. Power, in Elias's view, is not a commodity to be possessed but a function of interdependent relationships. It is always relational, and fluctuating. He observes, power is not a possession but a function of the relationships between people. Even those in subordinate positions exercise influence, precisely because of the mutual dependencies that bind all participants within a figuration. Movements such as women's suffrage demonstrate how groups with relatively little institutional power can mobilize their interdependence to transform political structures. This dynamic view of power enables a nuanced understanding of resistance, inequality, and transformation, the civilizing process, and emotional regulation. Building on his earlier work, Elias explores how emotional regulation evolves alongside changes in societal organization. He suggests that as societies become more complex, norms around self-restraint and emotional control intensify. The development of society involves increasing regulation of human emotions and behaviors, he writes. For instance, the historical shift from public executions to penal reform illustrates how changes in governance and public sentiment reshape emotional expectations. Over time, internalized norms reduce the need for external enforcement, embedding discipline within the individual. The myth of homo clausus. Elias critiques what he calls homo clausus, the notion of the individual as a sealed-off, self-contained unit. This myth underlies much of Western thought and fosters individualistic ideologies at odds with social reality. Elias contends, the idea of the isolated individual is a myth that ignores the interconnectedness of human beings. Social media is a modern illustration. Online identities are co-constructed through interaction, feedback, and collective engagement. Far from isolated, the individual is constantly being shaped by others. Knowledge and detachment. Finally, Elias emphasizes the importance of balancing involvement and detachment in sociological research. Observers must remain aware of their own position within the social figuration they study. Knowledge is shaped by the observer's position within the social figuration, he notes. This perspective requires a self-reflexive stance. Ethnographic research, for instance, demands deep engagement with participants while maintaining analytical clarity. For Elias, sociological rigor depends on both critical distance and empathetic understanding. 3. Relevance to contemporary life. Elias's theories are not confined to abstract reflection, they resonate deeply with everyday experiences. His concept of figurations helps illuminate family dynamics, workplace hierarchies, and community relations. Understanding interdependence can guide more effective leadership by emphasizing mutual responsibility over unilateral control. In education, Elias's balance between involvement and detachment offers insights into pedagogy and mentorship. Teachers, like sociologists, must be both engaged and analytical. His critique of homo clausus also informs mental health discourse, highlighting the importance of social support in well-being. On a global scale, Elias's emphasis on power and interdependence is crucial for tackling complex issues like climate change, systemic racism, and economic inequality. Recognizing the relational nature of these problems encourages collaborative, long-term solutions. 4. Critical perspectives. Despite its depth and originality, Elias's work is not without critique. Some scholars argue that his emphasis on structure and figurations risks downplaying individual agency. Anthony Gibbons, for example, warns that Elias's structural emphasis risks neglecting the creative, transformative capacities of individuals. Others find his conceptual language abstract and difficult to apply empirically. While figurations are analytically rich, they can be challenging to operationalize in case studies. Further critiques point to the Western-centric nature of Elias's framework. His focus on European historical developments may not generalize easily to non-Western contexts. Jack Goody cautions that the universality of Elias's process sociology must be critically examined in non-Western settings. Lastly, feminist and post-colonial scholars have noted a lack of attention to intersectionality. Raewyn Connell reminds us that power dynamics must be analyzed through the lens of intersecting social categories, including gender, race, and class, an area where Elias's work is notably silent. Conclusion, sociology is the study of becoming. Norbert Elias's What is Sociology? presents a powerful alternative to conventional sociological models. By emphasizing figurations, interdependence, and historical context, Elias constructs a sociology attuned to the fluidity of human life. His rejection of static binaries, between individual and society, agency and structure, emotion and reason, opens the door to a more holistic and humane understanding of social existence. Though critiqued for its abstraction and limited scope, Elias's work remains vital for contemporary sociology. It challenges us to rethink not only how we analyze the world but also how we relate to others within it. In the end, Elias invites us to embrace the processal nature of life, to see ourselves not as isolated beings but as participants in ever-evolving webs of human connection. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you appreciate the video and to stay updated on our upcoming content.